Okay, good evening. I'd like to open the meeting at 7:30. Um, I'm going to read a statement.
Digitally recorded.
Excuse me. Sorry. This meeting is being digitally recorded. We have received an open meeting law complaint from Tom Robinson, which I will read. On February 14th, 2017, the Hubbardston Board of Health voted to request a formal investigation into the matters by the Board of Selectmen or whom it appoints, including but not limited to what the purpose of the residents' actions were, who authorized them, and what documents were either viewed or obtained. The Board of Health is not authorized to request what the purpose of the residents' actions nor whom authorized them, since such requests are in violation of the open meeting law. On February 27th, 2017, the Board of Health Chairman read the following at the Board of Selectmen's meeting: to authorize and approve appropriate review and or investigation regarding all circumstances surrounding the events on January 31st, 2017, during which an individual or individuals may have had unauthorized access to the Board of Health files. The Board of Health feels that there is the potential that our files were compromised and that an investigation is needed to determine whether any violation of law, policy, or misconduct occurred. This was not what the Board of Health actually voted on their February 14th, 2017 meeting. The Board of Health based the vote on an email dated February 3rd, 2017 from Christine Haley, the administrative assistant to the Board of Health. In that email, Ms. Haley alleges that I, Janet, and I'm gonna mess this name up, Janet, I'm sorry. Bazeski, and had unauthorized access to the Board of Health files. The Board of Health could only base their vote on this email. There was no other evidence. Since the Board of Health February 14th, 2017 meeting alleged that I was the one who was involved in these events, I should have received proper notification under GLC 30, Section 21-1. This statute states in part that a public body may vote to hold executive session to discuss complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. The individual to be discussed, such executive session should be notified in writing by the public body at least 48 hours prior to the proposed session. I did not receive any notification and could not speak on my behalf. The vote and the issue were not on the Board of Health agenda. The agenda shall list topics that the chair reasonably anticipates 48 hours notice in advance will be discussed. Attorney General's Open Meeting Law Guide, page 4. And the last part too, the rescind.
That's what he's requesting is what
Okay.
I'm
And in the bottom, what actions do you want the public body to take in response to your complaint? Rescind the February 14th, 2017 vote and a written statement that such procedure was inaccurate and the board is sorry for its mistake. Okay, now we are to discuss and deliberate regarding open meeting law comment and respond to same. I'll start off with, at the meeting under comments, Christine mentioned to us, we were asking how her day was. She mentioned to us everything that went on that day. From that, the board collectively wrote a letter, and that's the letter that we used to go to the selectmen and ask for an investigation of what we saw.
Did you reasonably anticipate prior to the meeting that night that the topic would come up?
No.
Did you write the, did you make the statement to the Board of Selectmen that evening?
Yes.
And do you believe the statement you made reflected the vote that you took on February 14th?
Yes, I do.
Looking to see if there are any other things that need to be responded to. Okay. What I will ask is that, and it's only the two of you here.
Is the third person?
Oh, the third person, okay. I didn't see the third individual. You need to vote to designate someone to work with me to prepare a response. At the end of this, we can have a vote, but I believe, did you have on your agenda to open it up to comment?
Do you mind if you do that?
Do what?
Work with,
I'll be happy to.
okay. I make a motion that we have Hayden.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Did you have comments on your agenda tonight? Did you have it open for comments? I'm trying to find your agenda. You did not, actually.
No.
Did you want to open it up or no?
Do we have to?
That's the chairman's call always.
Okay, I'll open it up. Anybody have any comments?
Sure, I'm Attorney Goldstein, I represent Tom Robinson. It baffles me a little bit here that the January 31st, 2017 memo that you got from Ms. Haley was only brought up at the meeting almost a month later on February 28th. So it's about a month, so all of a sudden, this became a big issue that day when you made your discussion, that day, what happened that day, the memo was January 31st, almost a month later. It seems to me that based on the fact that it's hard for me to believe that she wouldn't have provided you that memo at least sometime in early part of February, that you should have properly given my client the notice that it was a complaint and the proper documentation so he could come to your meeting and you can make a decision whether you're going to allow him to be able to speak. As you heard from the last Board of Selectmen, you've not allowed him to speak. And so I think that was improper use of the open meeting. I think what you should have done is you should have said, okay, interesting point, let's bring it up at the next meeting, call a special meeting, and send notice to my client, and he should have been there.
Is
And I
that
think
you?
I think that's only fair for anybody. Put yourself in his shoes. That'd be only fair for anybody. And I think it was done on the quick, and I don't think it was follow statute or the open meeting law. And I'm asking you to revoke that vote because I
that-
think the Attorney General will.
Is that the conclusion of your comment?
I'm sorry.
Is that all you have to say? Is there any more?
Well, there may be more. I mean,
Okay.
depending on what you guys say. But that's the basis of this.
We have no comment. We'll prepare a response with the attorney. We don't have any comment tonight.
You have no comment to make on how you proceeded at a meeting.
That's
Right.
correct, sir. That's correct.
I'm actually flabbergasted. Knowing that we've had a relationship over the years, that you would make that statement, that you wouldn't look at your minutes and look at the situation and try to correct a situation that was wrong.
No
I'm
comment.
surprised, Hayden.
There'll be a time when we have a comment. Not tonight.
I'm surprised. You're an upstanding guy, and you've done great work for this community, and not to see the error in this is beyond me. Maybe council will advise you.
Duly
It's
noted.
not done correctly.
Duly
We all
noted,
can
Counsel.
move on. It was not done correctly. The council's silent right now.
We will prepare a response.
Okay.
Yeah, Tommy, when you first started talking about this, you said you helped Christine here write her a letter to the select board? That's what I thought you said.
No.
I stand mistaken.
Go ahead, Tom.
The complaint includes a comment on your motion that you passed in your meeting of the 14th, I believe, wherein you say you want to find out to what purpose of the residents' actions were and who authorized them. When a person makes a request for information, does he or she need to declare a purpose and who authorized them? Is that a legitimate request of a records requester?
That's what we collectively came up with. We do have information, obviously, in the Board of Health that we can't let out. So why someone would want the information, we just thought that was an appropriate question.
And you're absolutely correct. There are documents the Board of Health should not let out. Absolutely correct. I work with a lot of Board of Health. I've done a tremendous amount of work with Boards of Health all the way from Leominster all the way to Athol. And you're correct. But you can't ask for any purpose on a public record.
Okay.
That I can tell you. But I will also tell you, when my client is willing, and I'm gonna put out, again, just like we did the selectmen, we could end all this if you would be willing to at least listen to my client and tell his side of the story. I'm just not understanding that your board should be transparent, just like the Board of Selectmen. And I'm not seeing it, and I can't figure that out. And this procedure is wrong. And you can speak to your counselor. She knows her municipal law. And I'm just telling you, this procedure's wrong.
Well, we did the same thing as the select board.
No,
sent
it's
it-
different. No.
Well,
What you did was different.
Okay, what we did is we followed what town council told us to do. That's the similarities.
I'm just telling you that I think your procedure was wrong. And whether town council I'm not blaming, because you had the information. This information I know was probably in your board from sometime after January 31st. Didn't have to be discussed that night. You could have put it on. It happened over a month ago. You could have put it on the agenda and invited my client through a proper notification to come to the board. You could have done the same thing. You could have voted for an investigation if you wanted, but you didn't do it that way. You kind of like, okay, we're gonna vote on this complaint. We're not gonna give any notification to my client, and then you're gonna go to the Board of Selectmen and read a statement that not even the same statement that you voted on.
the statement that Mark just mentioned is this statement that you read to the Board of Selectmen. What is the origins of this statement? Did the Board of Health formulate it and vote on it? When you went to that meeting, to the Board of Selectmen meeting and presented it, you presented it as the head of the Board of Health. And I think the entire Board of Health, or at least a quorum of the Board of Health, was present. I think Randy was absent, but the rest of them were there. So you had 4 members of the Board of Health there. No one spoke up. No one said, oh, wait a minute, we never voted on that. But you presented that as a Board of Health position. What is the origin of this document? And under what circumstances did it come into existence without a Board of Health vote?
Okay, you know what, sir? If you'll forgive me, I'm not gonna listen to this. We have a police investigation ongoing now, voted by the Board of Selectmen. B, we're not required to answer those questions now. We have town council here. We will prepare a response to you. And if that's not clear, I don't know how to be any more clear. After we've consulted with town council, we've reviewed all these matters, we'll be happy to answer your councilors' questions and your questions. Not now and not this way. And we're not apologizing for anything tonight.
Well,
let's
you-
get
you had
that
an open
clear.
session, you said anybody has questions, so we're asking the questions.
You've asked the questions, we're giving you the answer. We're not answering right now.
I know, you're not giving me answers.
You'll have to wait. You'll have to wait.
I have
So
to wait
we
to
have
ask you
town
those
council
questions?
here for a reason.
Council,
If you'll
can I
forgive
answer
us,
the question?
you're the one that engaged council, not us. So now we have council because you engaged council. So you'll have to wait until our council has reviewed our material,
Your statement is
period.
absolutely
Okay, so-
wrong.
Okay,
No,
so
it's
let
not
me just say
wrong.
that part of your, part of.
Let me just jump in. Okay, it's not time here to deliberate who's right or wrong.
Thank
You're
you.
asking questions, he's asking questions. The meeting here is to discuss a response to the open meeting law complaint. We went through the allegations, what they believe that they did. I will draft the response based on what they said. He's opened it up for questions. I understand your statement. I understand you believe the Board of Health was wrong. You've made that clear. So you've made clear you thought the Board of Selectmen was wrong. Your prerogative, you've made that clear. So to debate who's right or wrong here is not the purpose of this meeting. Right, because they believe they're right, you believe they're wrong, we've gone through that. And so we'll prepare a response, you will get a copy of the response.
So, I know they can't answer this question, but whatever they read to the Board of Selectmen, you just probably, part of whatever you're gonna say, do, is did they take a vote to read something totally different? I mean, that might be another issue too.
Well, I think you heard them say it's not totally different, okay? I
The
think
wording
because,
is different.
I didn't hear.
well, the wording could be different, but you know that's not a violation of the open meeting law, sir. So, but anything they discuss with council obviously is privileged.
I understand that.
I know you do.
I have a quick question.
It's the chair who asks.
Nice,
answers.
All right.
you recognize me. You were just saying, Tom, a minute ago that, this meeting that you had on the 14th was spontaneous and you didn't know anything about it. Yet you had you had conferred with town council, you just said, about this, and I know she can't say what she talked to you about. But prior to that meeting on the 14th, she had prepared a statement, or you prepared a statement in conjunction with town council. How could you have not known 2 days prior to that meeting that?
Not on the 14th, on the 27th.
Well, you voted on the 14th, that statement.
The statement that we drafted that evening, correct.
Right.
We did not talk with town council on that statement.
You did that prior to that.
No. Town council,
I don't think that's what you said.
It's for the chair, I'm
All
not
right.
chairing this meeting.
I think we're done with questioning now.
Okay, so you voted, I will work with,
Hey,
All right. Do I hear a motion?
motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting closed.